let's start with what is your name?
My name is Gary Ross.
And what is your role at Liberton Kirk?
My main role, I seem to have picked up a few recently,
Mhm.
is I think the formal name is Keeper of the Roll, but known as the Roll
The
Keeper.
rookie. Okay. And what does that mean you do?
And basically, it's a sort of administrative job, in its heart, and it's really about keeping some of the records of the church, particularly as they pertain to members of the congregation and to elders, and so on. So it's really keeping those records, which is the main thing, but also within that, organising those records in a way that can be used for different things. So, for example, we've, we've got groups of people that are together for different purposes. For example, for what used to be known as districts or pastoral visiting. So each person might be in a group for a pastoral district that they get visited, or even things like the magazine deliveries. So I keep a track of all the people in the different magazine groups that is then used to deliver, hopefully soon again, the physical magazines.
Lovely. Is there a bit of your job that people might not know about?
I think part of although it is a sort of admin role, because I hold the records and so on, and because of, especially as we would do it anyway, but particularly luckily with data protection and so on, then we need to treat those records as very sensitive. So really, there's, other than if people have a need to know, so for example, if you're an elder and you're visiting people, then you need to know details about those people. But other than that, I'm really the only one that sees the whole database and maintains that, and we don't certainly give it out willy-nilly, that's for sure. But as a result, anything that's going on in the church that involves all the members, I often will get involved to help out. So I guess the example might be the Count Me In campaign that took place at the end of 2019. So I get involved in doing some of the organisations of the letters and so on, and then the responses and who's going in which week, and keeping track of that. And I can keep track of that and see everybody, again, without that information being too widely publicised. I guess latterly, the main thing I've been using a lot of that information and others is to do the emails, the spam emails that I seem to send out more and more every month to everybody, sort of, particularly around it started off with Sunday services, but also includes other things as well.
So what brought you to Liberton, or have you always been in the area?
No, well, as you can tell from my accent. So I was born in Glasgow and then went to school, Port Glasgow and Aberdeen, then back to Glasgow, Cumbernauld, and then work really. I then got a job in the IT centre I worked in the Royal Bank, which brought me through to Edinburgh in, 87 or so.
Okay.
And I then worked in I then lived in Leith area, and then we were expecting our first daughter, so then decided we needed a house rather than a flat, and that's what brought us into the Liberton area. And that carried on for another couple of years, and then we moved house next door to where we live, which was interesting. But really, in terms of the church, it was really when my second daughter, after my second daughter was born, and we were wanting her baptised. First had been where we got married down at the old Kirk-in-Ayr, and so approached John for that, who suggested going to an Alpha course, and from that I then became a member of Liberton Kirk.
And you've been here ever since?
And I've been here ever since. So that's just about, probably from about, what's that, 1997, 98 something.
So do you have a particular kind of music you like to listen to?
As my wife would say, I suppose the polite way of saying it is it's eclectic. Probably at the core, if I had the desert island disc type thing and could only take one thing, I'd probably go back to classical music, probably Mozart, something Mozarty, but also a lot of the operas, especially like German opera. This is just for you, Sheila, especially this Wagnerian Ring Cycle and so on. That's what we would go back to. But other than that, I'll listen from Adele to Fleetwood Mac, sort of Queen to Status Quo, Sex Pistols to whatever,
Yeah.
Indian music to I've discovered a girl who's Chilean French and sings Portuguese, I think it is, some sort of hip hop music, which is
Real eclectic
which
mix
is really
there.
good, you know. But equally, but the second, I'll also listen to a lot of the sort of West End shows and so on as well. So I like going to. Well, I used to like going to the
Yeah,
theatre.
when we were allowed, it was lovely.
Hopefully again.
Yeah.
But West End shows. So really, other than jazz, some jazz I don't mind, but the jazz that sort of seems to go on forever and nothing really happens, I'm not so keen on.
But apart from that, a bit of anything.
Other than that,
Um,
just about anything.
okay. Do you have any hobbies?
I guess the two main hobbies I would say in terms of hobby is probably I do photography. Again, less than perhaps I should. And latterly I've been doing some Lego building as well.
I was going to say your background would normally portray what your hobby, what that one
Yes,
is, but
yes,
we're
my
out of
Lego
sight
building.
today.
But the problem is, of course, is that I get these big sets, but once you build them, you've got to put them somewhere.
Yeah.
So what I've discovered just fairly recently is a thing on the computer. So I'm also, I guess, computers as well. So because that's my background, I'm still interested in doing things on the computer. But I've discovered a Lego building sort of CAD type program where you can build Lego on the computer.
Oh, okay.
And render it and all this sort of thing. So I've been enjoying that recently, and the advantage of that is that I don't have to physically put them
You don't
anywhere.
have to store it anywhere
Don't
once
have to
it's
store it
done.
anywhere other than on the computer. So that's been quite enjoying that recently.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite food?
I guess again back to sort of desert island type food. I would go back to I guess my native Glaswegian diet of Indian curry. And that's probably the one that I would go for. But again, a bit like music, I'll eat anything, you know. So
Yeah.
jellyfish, like chicken legs, snails, dog's legs, anything. But by and large, anything that's if I go to a restaurant and look at a menu and see something A that I've never had before, but B that I don't even know what it is, then I will naturally go towards that sort of thing.
You'll give it a try. Why not?
I like trying different things differently. So in the last few years, I guess I've discovered more and more Japanese type food,
Okay.
and that's been really good because they've got some really strange stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
but really,
Yeah, really
enjoyable.
tasty stuff.
Absolutely.
So we've come to our last question, which is, do you have a favourite Bible verse or a Bible verse that you find particularly useful, and why?
I think it's a bit like music. It depends on which mood you're in as to what verse and Bible that you want. But I guess one of the ones, and going back to the Alpha courses mentioned around it, and just shortly afterwards, I get into like the book of Ephesians, which I thought was really good. It's, well, a lot of it's about church unity, it's about sort of grace and the love of God and so on, and really about how much has been done for us already. If you like, the prize is ours already. All we've got to do is keep hold of it, sort of thing. So like Ephesians, 2:8, it's through the grace of God that you have been saved through faith, not by anything that we've done ourselves. It's a gift of God.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps me when because you try and keep faith, but of course you fall and you fail and so on. But then you remember that the prize is we have it already. We just need to accept it. So that's something that I go back to, I guess, more often than perhaps other verses that I look at.
Nice. Well, that's us finished. We normally close in prayer. Would you like to? Just a short prayer, just to finish.
Yeah, sure. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you for the sunshine. It's a welcome sign, hopefully, that things are improving through the last year, through COVID. And while there will be ups and downs, we always look to you for guidance and to help us through what may be hard times for some, but equally that we don't all focus in on the bad things. Let's look for the hope that is out there, and through you will be able to guide us the way. Through Jesus. Amen.